Good day, everyone. This is Ranti Warfi from Nuclear Business Platform, welcoming you to the another edition of MVP Hot Seat. Today, we are delighted to have Dr. Carlo Arcilla, Director of the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute, to discuss on nuclear energy plan in the Philippines. Today, as we know, the Philippine government has ambitious goal to add 2,400 megawatt of nuclear power capacity by 2035 as part of the effort to meet rising energy demand, reduce reliance on imported fossil fuels, and lower carbon emission. And small modular reactor have attracted a particular interest as a potential safer and more affordable nuclear technology option. So, Dr. Arcilla, thank you for taking the time to speak with us. How are you?
Yeah, okay, that's good. Busy,
Okay.
but that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to start off, I meant to ask, how are the preparation coming along for the possibility of integrating nuclear power into the Philippine energy mix by
Uh,
2035?
First, there is a bill that has passed the lower house of the Philippines that will establish what we'll call the Philippine Atomic Regulatory Authority, or it's called PhilAtom. That has passed the lower house. It will now go to the Senate. So hope that it's being championed by Congressman Marco Wangco.
Yeah.
And so we don't have control over it anymore. It's in the hand of the legislature. It will now go to the Philippine Senate. And I'm told that Congressman Wang will pursue that aggressively.
Okay.
And we don't see any serious opposition in the Senate. So hopefully within a year or two, maximum, that law will be passed, which means that an independent regulatory body will be put up now. So it will be called PhilAtom.
Okay, it's great to hear that. And do you think what other factor will determine this timeline? Maybe public acceptance will be in concern of this, sir?
Now, there's no concern of public acceptance because
Mm.
there's a survey done in 2019 by our Department of Energy which said that 79% of the population supports nuclear power.
Okay.
This is very important because the most important development basically in the Philippines is about a few months ago, 3 or 4 months ago, even earlier, the largest power corporations in the Philippines, like Meralco, Aboitiz, and the Razon Group, they have expressed that they will go nuclear. Now, that's very significant because nuclear power in the Philippines will be run by private companies.
Okay. Okay.
Because the government does not have money to put up nuclear power plants. So, but then these companies have said that they will not put up the nuclear power if there is no independent regulatory body. So their entry into the nuclear field is dependent on the setting up of this regulatory body.
Okay. Doctor, I heard about the PNRC also, Philippine Nuclear Regulatory Commission, as you said earlier. So, could you elaborate what is the PNRC role will play to overseeing the implementation of the proposed nuclear power plant?
Yeah, first it will not be called the Philippine Nuclear Regulatory Commission. I mean, the names will still change.
Okay.
It could be an authority instead of a commission. It will be an authority, so there'll be a director general and 4 deputies there. The most important feature of this is that it should be independent because we are the nuclear regulators now at PNRI, but we are not independent. I mean, I report to the Secretary of Science.
Yeah.
The PhilAtom, when it's put up, will report to the President of the Philippines directly. Okay, so that's very important. And then it will also take the ionizing radiation function of our Food and Drug Administration. So it will be, but it's basically a safety and security and safeguards institution. So it will not interfere, for example, in the rates of the electricity, in the ownership. It's basically the safety following the IAEA guidelines. So that's the most important feature of this bill.
Okay. So I also heard that recently Philippine more focused on utilizes small modular reactor, micro modular reactor. Is there any possibility on the future that Philippine might be utilize like such a large nuclear reactor?
Yeah, no, the field atom, the future field atom will be technology agnostic,
Mm,
meaning they have not ruled in or ruled out any regulator. The only limitation that it says in the law saying that the Philippines will not buy or will not license first of a kind,
okay.
meaning, and that's a big problem with the small
Yes.
modular reactors. You know, there are only two under construction, you know, or only two are operational. Actually, one in Russia
Yes.
and the one in China, the HTGR. But the the SMRs will figure permanently in the Philippine nuclear scene. But all of there are more than 80 designs, but they're all still PowerPoints, not power plants.
Yes.
So, so which means that until you build one and it's operating, and then we have established a safety a tradition, a safety record, they will not be practicable. So I don't see them happening in the next 10 years. You know, so that's the problem with the small
Yeah.
modular reactors. A lot of talk about them, but the regulatory and the construction, because the regulators and the users will have to see how they operate.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have to see an actual power plant. Now everything's a promise, you know.
Yes. Because it all the SMR is still in demo stage, right?
They want what?
The still a lot of small modular reactor is still in a demonstration stage.
Yeah, some of them not even in demonstration. They are in design stages. You know, they're very few. There's one in Canada that's being built, the BWRX.
Yep.
But New Scale, for example, they have problems. I mean, no, there's no SMR company that can say here's an SMR. Look at it operating. As I said, the only one that can do that now is China, with their HTGR. You
Yeah, and
know,
Russia, yeah.
it's the third generation, and then the Russian one in the ship. But that has many problems. You know, when you have a shipborne nuclear reactor, transport, or you know, within over international waters, etc. So
So okay. So also you mentioned earlier that about utilities in Philippines such as Meralco and Aboitiz have started to show a keen interest in nuclear energy. And how do you view the foray of this utility into nuclear sector? And what do you feel about their main motivation exploring this nuclear energy?
as I said, in my mind, that is the most important development in Philippine nuclear because the ones who will operate Philippine nuclear power plants are private sector. It will be similar to the American model, where the nuclear plants are operated by the private sector. Because we already own and have constructed one nuclear power plant, the Bataan nuclear power plant, 100% owned by government, 100% paid up, and there's a possibility it might be restarted. There's a
Okay.
feasibility the Koreans have submitted that will still be approved by the government if they'll have to undertake the feasibility. But even if it is feasible, the government cannot run it and put the electricity into the grid because it's prevented by law. We
Yeah.
have we have privatized already all of the power generation. So if assuming let's say the Bataan nuclear plant gets rehabilitated, it will have to be either leased or operated by a private entity. Okay. And that will be the same for any future nuclear plants. That is why the entry of the private sector into the nuclear is very important because they will be the ones to own and operate. They will be the operators of future nuclear plants. They have come to our offices. We've been, and then our Department of Energy has also invited them to look at nuclear power programs. I was just with them in France a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
We toured the nuclear infrastructure of France, and we expect more visits like that in potential vendor countries. So, but to my mind, this is a very good development because, foremost, number one, the private companies can easily imbibe a culture of safety more
Yeah.
than government companies. And then, what we will just have to do is make sure that the regulations are robust so that they operate safely.
Okay. Let's focus on regional collaboration. Could you provide an assessment how effective regional collaborations such as ASEANTOM that have been promoting cooperation and information sharing among ASEAN countries concerning nuclear regulation?
Yeah, actually, ASEANTOM has always been very strong collaboration. We meet every year.
Yeah.
We just met last year in Yogyakarta, and then we will meet again this year. I think I'm not sure if it's in Laos or in anyway, we will meet again. So
Yeah.
there is constant communication. And for example, everybody's looking who's going to start.
Yep.
They're looking at Philippines now because we have we have already a national position, and then the government has made a policy that we will go nuclear. So we will be informing them of developments, and we will be learning from them too. Because once we declare and then we go really forward, I'm sure that our ASEAN neighbors will follow.
Yes.
A waiting
Obviously.
game.
Yes.
There's a waiting game. But there's also a concern that it has to be safe operation. So because we're neighbors.
Yep.
So we will have to make sure that if nuclear operations here will go, it has to be safety is the overriding concern. Safety and security. So, and that perspective is always best when it's shared with the neighbors. They're stakeholders basically in this. Excuse me.
Yep. How do you think organizations such ASEANTOM can further enhance its value to relevance in strengthening nuclear regulation in the region?
Okay, one of them. Once we finish our law, we will certainly share them with with our neighbors, and then so we can also benefit from best practices. For example, one area that we can share this like with our neighbor Indonesia is siting, because Indonesia and Philippines share similar geology. We have both earthquakes and with tsunami, and then we have also volcanoes. Now we have a lot of typhoons too, so there are many disasters that potentially could limit the construction of nuclear plants. That's why we need the input of our neighbors, to make sure that they are safe.
Yep.
So and it's I think a part that will help you is transparency. I mean, I don't know if we will be involved in the future Philatom, but I would lobby for transparency, not only in the Philippines but with our neighbors, so that we help protect each other from this perspective of safety.
Okay, thank you. Maybe last question, Dr. Arcilla. How do you see nuclear energy program in the Philippines or ASEAN in at least in the next 5 or 6 years?
Okay, maybe one of the most important things, it just happened a few weeks ago when COP28 ended. For the first time, COP28 said that nuclear energy is important for climate, because of the zero emission, and they encourage the faster rollout of nuclear power because there's zero emissions. In the Philippines, it's not just the emissions that's the concern. Our main concern is energy security. 50% of our electricity comes from coal, and 90% of that coal is imported, mostly from Indonesia. So you can imagine we don't have an energy secure environment. And then 20% comes from our gas field in the South China Sea, which is being contested geopolitically by our neighbor in the north west. So 70% of our base load is under threat. So the Philippines, and the only way that you can actually to address the base load issue is to have nuclear, because by the way, renewables, we want to wrap up the Philippines has a very strong move on wind and solar, but considering the capacity factor of wind and solar, at best it's about 20%.
Yeah.
So something has to be carrying the very heavy load. We are good. We have about 13% geothermal. So no one can tell us to have more renewable because we have actually a very good renewable, but we have maximized the geothermal sources. The large volcano fields have been tapped already. There will be small additions and stuff like that. So basically we have very little choice in terms of base. And then if you look at the LNG, suddenly the whole world wants to import LNG, and we cannot compete with the big importers, and the price has really gone up.
Yep.
And most importantly, the electricity costs for the Philippines on a per capita basis, meaning as a percent of the household expenditure, is very high, the highest in Asia.
Yes.
And so those are factors that make nuclear really imperative. So, and by the way,
Yep.
we have a solution for nuclear waste, if that's a question.
Yes.
What is our potential solution? I would forward, I'm asked, because we can consider deep borehole disposal.
Okay.
Because we already have the technology for deep boreholes. We're number 2 in the world in geothermal. We drill very deep boreholes, and we have isolated islands. We can put the the wells in isolated islands, put it in boreholes, plug it in bentonite, and that will keep them safe for 10,000 years. So the modality and the technology for nuclear waste is there, because I'm sure that will be asked by Greenpeace and all of the people who are opposing nuclear power.
Yeah.
Technology is available, and we're willing to demonstrate it if the government says to demonstrate it. Because again, safety is primary more than anything else.
Okay, maybe one last time. How's the preparedness maybe in preparation of human resources in nuclear energy development?
That is a challenge because but we're working on it. For example, one way is because 40 years ago we had a program for nuclear engineering.
Yeah.
But when we canceled the nuclear plant, the Bataan nuclear plant, the top university here stopped the nuclear engineering. Said, why will you operate? There's no place to work.
Yes.
And then we actually sent dozens of scientists and engineers abroad to train to run the nuclear plant. Many of them in the US, like what Korea did when they started the nuclear program. When we canceled the first nuclear plant, they said, what? Why will we come back? There's nothing to come. So many of them have remained in the US, but they're retiring and they might actually come back. The Philippines has millions of engineers working abroad.
Okay.
Many of them, for example, work in the construction and operation of the brand new nuclear plants in the UAE that the Koreans built, the Baraka. But there are many Filipino engineers there. So if we wanted to operate a nuclear plant, we can tap these people. And most importantly, too, if the Koreans say that the Bataan nuclear plant is feasible, we have a working version, exact version. So we can send our engineers to train there. So that should, the human resource will come if the nuclear program moves ahead. It's not going to be easy, but I think the steps to overcome it are doable.
Okay. Okay, Dr. Arcilla, thank you again for the time to speak with us and sharing insight. But I'm afraid that's all the time that we have today. And we look forward for witnessing the continued and evolution of Philippine energy sector in the coming years.